Hello, everybody. Hey, welcome, guys, and welcome to Galactic Explorers with myself, Daniella, and as always, the lovely Dallas, your Galactic Intuitives. Welcome to the podcast where we take you on a joyride through the earthly, spiritual, or everyday topic explored with a galactic perspective. Dallas, you ready to break out that bowl? See what we've got for us today?
All right, let's do it. Okay. This is a viewer's question.
Awesome.
Yeah. I often feel the need to be outside in the thunderstorm. Is there a deeper connection? And do others feel the same way? So
love it.
Energetic weather, huh?
Energetic weather. I love this one.
Yeah.
This is going to be a good topic because I do also have a connection with the energetically weather. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely. I love thunderstorms.
Me too. So energetic weather. Yeah. Feeling the need to be outside in thunderstorms. Yes. Short answer, yes. Do others feel the same way? Yes.
Yes.
Short answer is yes. I certainly do. Especially, like rain. It always, that has always been a thing for me. The second, it just, I got to go outside. I got to be in it. I got to get wet. I don't know. It's always been a thing.
Yeah,
There's other things tied to that too.
Oh yeah, I think it's well, especially like thunderstorms. You think about like the lightning and the thunder,
all the electricity,
like vibration. So I've always been excited of like, ooh, thunderstorms. I want to go outside and like, I want to go play outside. And it's like,
right.
No, you can't because what, the lightning and
right. You're gonna get struck by lightning. It's like, well, what are the odds?
Right.
I was that kid. I'm like, well, what are the odds? So if I stay a little under the tree, but I still get wet, will I get hit by the lightning?
Right. Right. Oh my gosh. I would always pretend to like I was creating the storm.
Yeah.
Right? Like you're a little kid and you just be outside.
Oh my god, absolutely playing like
here comes those clouds
with it. Yeah.
Yeah. Harry Pottering before even Harry Potter.
Oh yeah. Mine was that early Disney Mickey Mouse Sorcerer's Apprentice thing, where it's like you end up flooding everything and making a storm, and that whole like shenanigans went nuts.
Yeah.
Because we used to live right next to or on a river. Like we had a little dock on the back of our house and everything. Because we lived in the deep south where you could live on the river. So yeah, it's sometimes the river would flood. Thunderstorm, the tide would be high and it'd be a thunderstorm, so it was like,
yeah, definitely. Oh yeah.
Have you noticed that this is something that I've noticed how do I say a very obvious correlation, or what is to me a very obvious correlation between how I'm feeling emotionally and the weather.
Yeah. Yes, most definitely.
Have you ever experienced that where it's like,
yeah,
the whole thing? It's like when you're really, really, really sad, it cries. It rains.
It cries. Yeah.
It cries. Yeah, it cries. It's like when you're really sad and you're like, but it rains. It was that whole thing when they touched on it. Actually, what was it in Men in Black 2, where they had the girl that was an alien and she didn't know it, and it's like at the end of the movie they were trying to get her into the pod, and it started raining because she was really sad. She didn't want to leave Will Smith. She loved him. Okay.
Yeah, so I remember watching the movie and I'm like, why am I
at the very end?
Yeah.
And then Tommy Lee Jones, said something about, because she said something about, it raining, or it's like, I always seem to cry when it rains. And Tommy Lee Jones goes back to her and it's like, no, it rains because you're crying.
Yes.
It's like, my life. It's not every time, obviously. You know,
Right.
like you stub your toe and you start crying and you're like, ah, you know, like not that. But there have been times where it's like you get into such a deep place, like of a particular frequency,
Mm-hmm.
it seems to resonate with the weather. Like a storm would always roll in, even in
Yeah.
California, in Southern California, where it never rains. It would, I mean, like, here it comes. You know, it
Right.
would rain for like 20 minutes or half an hour, and people were like, well. But
Yeah.
it just so happened that I was like super duper depressed, or so, you
I
know,
could,
like really deeply affected by something, and it would just so happen that it would also rain out of nowhere in the middle of a 90-degree day.
matching your frequency.
So I
Or
have had that experience. So I've always wanted to be out in it. I always wanted to go out in it and connect with it and be one with it.
yeah.
And then it also seems to respond sometimes.
I'm trying to see if I've ever had any experience. I mean, I know I've had experiences where the weather and my emotions are connected.
Mm,
And then I'm just like, wow, it feels like even more like I'm supposed to go through that emotion because the day is this
sure.
way. So it's allowing me to just like go
Yeah.
through it. Mm.
So what do you think the energetic connection is there? So I think that's really what the person's asking is, if I
Hmm.
feel really drawn to go outside during a thunderstorm, it's like, what is that energetic connection that's drawing me outside?
Right. What kind of release do they need to process? Or a clearing, right? Like
Like,
it's
is it a clearing?
refreshing.
Is that the energetic connection? It's like, is it a clearing?
Oh.
I mean, for me,
Uh,
it's been generally related to cleansing,
hmm.
but also, I mean, there's been an empowerment aspect of it too for me.
In which way?
Because I love the rain so much, and it would like always rain when I cry. It would cheer me up.
Think, right? So you feel like, would you feel like you've been heard through that?
I feel like it, yeah, in a
Uh-huh.
way. So it's like, so where's the connection to that there?
Hmm. Well,
I think you might have touched on it earlier when you started to hit something about matching frequency. And this
right.
is,
So
I mean, we're going to talk about frequency eventually till we're blue in the face, because that's really what it's all about. It's going to keep
mm,
coming back around to that. But what do you think's happening with wanting to go outside? Since you feel it, I feel it, they feel it.
well, I connection with Earth, right? It's our physical grounding place where we're physically here. And, or of course, Earth has her own vibrations, right? And so if there's, okay, so hear me out. Maybe it's a frequency match, right? Of the Earth needs to release too, right?
Mm,
Maybe the Earth needs to, is going through it. And then there's that emotion that you're feeling at the same time where it's like, it can match that,
mm,
where it can help bring that rain and that thunder and that feeling of empowerment or that feeling of, oh, I could just sit here in the rain and feel joy
mm-hmm.
or feel just supported and loved. Like, and then there's that frequency of what the earth gives of, I can just do this. I can cry,
Yeah.
but feel joy at the same time. Does that make sense? Does that,
I mean, yeah,
I know it's kind of
it kind of does and it kind
wishy-washy.
of doesn't, but it's like, yeah,
I know. I
it
know.
is sometimes very hard to describe the feeling aspect of a lot of what we experience,
Hmm.
to put into words. Um, yeah, it's almost like, well, I think, how do I say, that rain has its own frequency, energetic frequency, because water is its own thing, of course.
Yes.
But even within that, I think because of the electricity of the thunderstorm and it being held in that container together and then released, that maybe the water in and of itself is charged to a
There
degree.
you go.
And
Yeah.
it's like you want to go out in that and get it.
Yeah.
The idea that's coming to mind is almost like you crave a steak when you need iron.
Right.
Your body craves a steak when you need iron, like chocolate when it needs magnesium.
Mm-hmm. Right. And so that electric charge is kind of that
So like,
extra.
yeah, so like what if immersing yourself in that particular frequency of water and charged air is kind of like reinvigorating your batteries or something to that kind of degree, where it's almost like there's something about you that feels that it needs to be out in there to have it be a part of your system, like
Right.
putting food in your physical system,
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
it does. No, I think it makes a lot more sense than like
Sometimes, I mean, gibberish comes out of me all the time. You heard me.
I like that. I like the thought that
It's like I wonder if it's that kind of thing where you're trying to like match, because like when you go grounding and you're trying to put your feet on the ground, you're trying to get the resonance from the earth into your body.
right.
So it calms all your nervous system down and everything like that. So it's like, what if that's the same thing with the
Oh
rain
yeah, totally. Yeah, I could totally see that. Yeah,
and being out in that electrically charged, ionically charged air
yeah. An
and water
environment,
and
rain,
environment? Like, I
elements.
mean, because the air does change when you're out in a thunderstorm versus like even a regular storm.
Oh yeah.
So there's a noticeable feeling of difference if you're
Hmm.
sensitive enough to walk out in there and be like, ooh, ooh, like it gives you the
It does, yeah, okay.
right?
It does
Makes your
give
hair
you that
stand on end.
charge. It gives you that oomph, that little extra
Mm-hmm.
little like, yeah, it feels
Mm-hmm.
good.
Yeah,
Yes, most definitely.
and a lot of times it's really refreshing, just to kind of,
It's yeah,
you know,
it's well, especially like here in the Pacific Northwest, it rains a lot.
yeah, it
And
rains a lot here in Virginia too.
you get kind of like used to it, but then when you have those thunderstorms, for me, I'm like, oh, or even like there's a mist. So it's rain, but it's a mist.
Yeah,
You just
that's
go out
nice.
into it and you're just like, it's so refreshing and so
Mm-hmm.
like reviving in a way that even being in nature, it gives that extra
Yeah, it's
push,
gravy. It's gravy,
right?
right?
Definitely.
But that's
So,
interesting.
so what about like big storms, like hurricanes and tornadoes and
I mean, I kind of like being hurricane adjacent. That, might be weird. I mean, I used to live in South Carolina on the edge near like maybe 20 to 40 minutes from the coast.
yeah,
So we'd get, we didn't usually get the bulk of the hurricane, but we got a lot of it.
yeah,
There was a reason that the house was like strapped to cinder blocks that were buried, 15
yeah,
feet underground. Like the house was strapped down. Like there was hurricane protection on everything. But so it was, yeah, it was interesting to bear witness to a lot of those storms and be able to selectively go out in them.
yeah,
Uh, but yeah, it's those ones I feel like at least for me, it was a little bit more fun in the sense of you're flirting with danger.
yes. Hmm.
And then kind of getting wet too, just regularly outside. It's almost like, I wouldn't say a taboo thing, but kind of almost where, especially for an adult, it's like, you're not supposed to go outside in the rain and get wet because you're going to catch pneumonia and you're going to get, like, or whatever.
Yeah,
Or you're going to come inside and make a mess, or, like, I have to clean up after your shit, or like, right? And so,
yeah,
but so being able to like, go out there and just soak yourself as an adult is almost like uh, it's like a rare emotional treat where you're like, It's like, yeah, I can get wet because I can strip down and bring my shit out and whatever. I don't.
Yeah.
So it's almost kind of, there's an interesting energy sometimes with that too, where you're expressing your freedom of choice to get wet. Right? Not in a shower like scenario. But
Right.
I mean, it's weird, but sometimes there's that aspect of it for me where it's almost like a little naughty, where it's like, yeah, I'm gonna get wet. Right?
I'm gonna go out and be in dangerous wetness.
Gotta be out, go dangerous. Yeah.
Oh, I love hurricanes because I grew up in the Gulf Coast. So I lived off of Galveston.
Oh yeah. So you know.
So those kind of like the hurricanes, when
Yeah.
we're strapping down in the middle of one,
Oh yeah.
my favorite part was always the eye of it because it's still and it's quiet. So you go through maybe a couple hours of just like pouring rain and wind and shit, your fence flying off, like shit's just going crazy. You're like, I want to go play in that.
Right.
No, get away from the window. Let's go in the bathtub. It's like,
Right.
oh,
Leave.
boring. And then it's quiet. And
We
still,
never had the eye of the hurricane because it never came that close.
that part for
That's
me,
a cool experience.
I would like, I'm going outside. I'm going outside. And I'd go in my backyard and we'll go and check on the house or, what damage the neighborhood went through.
Yeah.
And that stillness of just, it's so quiet. It's almost eerie, but at the same time, it's that thunderstorm, like, oh, this is so exciting, like, because there's more coming, and then all of a sudden it's just,
yeah, just
right, and it's that
right
extra, I don't know. For me, it's the eye of the hurricane, of the
That's cool.
stillness and the quiet.
Yeah.
But it was just different. And then the storm comes again, and you're just like, oh
Yeah.
and then a tornado will come through or whatnot, so then it was definitely an
tornadoes, luckily.
We had several little ones, but
nope.
It's for me, like, I was never scared of any of that. I was excited about it.
Yes.
I was real excited.
Yes.
And I felt like you could feel the earth's energy.
Yes. Even I think not just the earth's energy, but because it's also coming from the sky, there's like a different vibration coming off of it than grounded. It's like, I think that's where I was going a little bit earlier, and my thought like diverged into another direction, but also mentioning that like rain energy is different from like lake energy or river energy. So the water, even though it's built of the same core frequency building blocks, it can have a lot of different forms in which it can affect us.
Right.
A lot of subtle tweaks, because a river is different even than a lake, even though they are both ground-based water and touching the earth constantly.
Right. Well, and then, I mean, not to get too far off topic, but also where it's located.
True.
So,
like,
a creek that's from the mountain water,
right, is different than a Gulf Creek that's had, or like, what do they call it? Brackish water, where it's like salt and fresh that comes together from like, that's totally different vibration too.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's, to answer the question, I think is to, like, yes, other people feel it. I don't know if everybody feels the need to go out in the water and in the thunderstorm. I certainly do.
Right.
I know that thunderstorms will probably affect most people whether they want it to or not. But yeah, I think as far as what you're feeling, that might be an alignment energetically to wanting to align to the whatever the frequency of that storm is. To energize or boost yourself. I mean, honestly, or to release extra baggage or get rid of, it's like the part of it is cleansing and part of it is energizing. It's interesting.
Yeah.
But I think it might be a similar function to, like I said before, the wanting red meat because your body needs
Right.
iron.
What your body requires at that time.
Yeah.
So when
It's kind of like,
you,
ooh, I can get it. Let me have it.
yeah,
Let me get this infusion of it, of this, like mineral, this essence of the.
well, and you probably just do it without knowing it. You're like, oh, it's raining. I'm going to go sit on my patio for a second, and just.
I do it every time it rains, if I can
Right.
help it.
Well, and that's a question I was going to ask you. So when a thunderstorm comes or it rains like out of nowhere, how do you harness that for yourself? Like, do you recognize it and do you go through like a meditation or anything? Or what do you do to like really pick up more on that energy? Or is it just, what do you do?
It depends time to time. Sometimes I feel more like immersing myself in the liquid of it. Sometimes it's more the sound immersion.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I meditate, sometimes I don't. I know it seems like a really wishy-washy back and forth answer, but it really just depends because
Yeah.
it is a combination of what my body is looking for out of the experience,
Mm-hmm.
frequency wise, and also what me, the I, is looking for out of it. So am I looking to use the rain to clear out some stuff that I know that I've been holding on to, that I've found, it's like that we've been working on. It's like, do I use it in a ritualistic sense?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes. Do I just use it sometimes as a relaxing thing? Even if there hasn't been a lot of stress, it just so happens to rain. It's like, oh, okay, I'm just going to go treat myself to being outside. It's like, make a cup of tea, go sit outside. Sometimes I do that just for the self-care of the enjoyment of it.
Right.
There's like no ulterior motive. So yeah, it's a bit of everything depending on
Yeah.
in the moment.
And you have the energy of it, right?
Yeah, it's definitely in the moment. So it used to be kind of, I just needed every time because I didn't get it as much living in California for 20 years. So
Right.
anytime it rained, it's like, I am going outside. Fuck you.
Right. Yeah.
BRD. 5 minutes. When I was out the door. It's like, I'm taking my 15-minute break a little early. I'm going to go stand outside. Like whatever. It used to be like that, but since I've moved to Virginia and it does rain here more often and stay more humid, and it's like I have more of that liquid in the air all the time to have access to, I feel like I utilize it differently now instead of just
Right.
constantly needing to be cleansed all the time. Like I can actually
Right.
just use it for enjoyment, the serenity, or use it for the different aspects that it offers. What do you do? I imagine you do something similar too at this point.
Yeah. Pretty much the same. Especially here, if I know it's going to be rainy, I do try to like go out for a hike in it.
Mm-hmm.
So that way I can just be with like totally in nature and then totally just like,
So how
I
much
know
did
I
you
need
kind
to
of
like
love that
cleanse.
hike in Hawaii though, when we got rained out? You were so prepared. I was so jealous. You had that damn poncho jacket thing that covered your backpack, everything, hood. It went all the way down to your knees. Everybody was soaking ass, drenched, wet cat in a river, pissed wet. And you were just like, "What's up, guys? I got my, plastic blanket on." What, you guys didn't know about this? You didn't prepare? You guys aren't having a good time? What?
My pants were soaking wet, but yeah, the top of me was
So
dry
good.
because I experience it all the time. So I was like, rain, I got my poncho.
I got
Got
this.
my rain jacket. It's
I've told
on.
I've told Frank
Ready.
that we need one of those. Because yeah, I love to hike in the rain, but yeah, I hate when my shit gets wet.
Yeah, you
Not
gotta be
Cheryl's,
prepared.
right?
You gotta be prepared,
Oh
especially
my
here because
goodness.
it just will come out of nowhere. Because it'll be
I
a
know.
beautiful sunny day, and then it
Yeah,
just starts raining,
it
and
can
then
here
it's a
too.
beautiful day again. So it's like, oh, okay.
It
So
can here
yes, I am
too.
prepared.
That's awesome. I loved that thing. No, but how amazing was that experience? Like totally getting drenched out in Hawaii. I mean, talk about rain and energy. Being on a volcano through the middle of a friggin', oh my God, it was practically hailing almost at one point. It was amazing.
It was, and it was so like so much rain,
Oh my God, yes.
like,
Buckets.
and just it was
Fast and hard,
downpour,
and it was just intense. It was like, oh my God.
and it was all when we were all out in the
Yes, as far away from the vehicles as we could possibly get.
right. And then it just downpoured. And then when we
Yep.
got back, it like stopped.
Yep. Yeah. So what about the energetics of that, Missy?
Yeah, there's definitely a clearing with that. A lot of, I will say with that, it wasn't just a clearing or like it was so like seeing other people and what they were reacting to it on.
That is absolutely true.
Yeah, that's what I kind of saw of like I was jumping on rocks. I was like, this is freaking awesome. Woohoo.
I
It's
know
like
you were having a great
raining.
time.
I just it was
I was
and then
almost having a great time because I was soaked.
right I think well
With,
everybody
along
went
with everybody else, I was soaked.
right.
But then, yeah, you saw everybody else and how they handled being soaked,
Right.
having to like force march back to the vehicle, and most of them not having any extra dry clothes with them
Yeah.
or anything like that. Yeah,
Yeah.
to see how they handle that, especially on a spiritual retreat, was very interesting and quite a social experiment indeed.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that aside, the energy of the rain was interesting to, see what it brought out in everybody.
Mm-hmm. How you reacted to something. I mean, you're in a pretty magical spot where we were because
Oh
we
my God,
were
so magical with the petroglyphs and everything
yeah,
carved
the
into
pet
the,
things. Yeah, and to like kind of start tapping into that energy of,
the
were we here before? Some
deluge.
people were there before. Some people like really, and I get that sense too of I was there and this was like it
Hmm.
was just like another day of like, okay, here we're going along on our island
Yeah, right.
and it's raining and some people are struggling to get through and some people are not, so it was just the dynamic of like and then who was together and who was not, like it was just interesting, like that's what I was seeing and
Yeah,
observing that whole time, but at the same time of yay, this is raining and it's awesome and it's cool and it's an experience in itself.
it absolutely was.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, once I got over the fact that I was drenched, I was like, oh, but wait, I can get rid of a lot of junk right now
Yeah. Oh
because it's
yeah.
still coming down. It was still
Right.
coming down. So I did, I did a lot of, that was one of those times where I used it to do a lot of clearing, leave a lot of junk behind. And then as I dried up, it was like, oh, okay, cool. We've left all that, just about,
Yeah.
use
Well,
that
yeah,
as a visualization to just,
then we go to that one spot that was like Mars.
oh man, that was excellent. And then I bust my knee open at Mars. That was awesome.
Oh, you did, huh?
Yeah, I did. Mars is like, bitch, don't come back. We told you not to come back here.
Right.
What about exile? Do you not understand?
This is your warning. You better get out.
That's right. You get one warning shot. That stuff
No,
was so sharp though, wasn't it? It was amazing.
yeah.
But yeah, just quick reference is that we are referring to a spiritual retreat that we both went on in Hawaii, which was an amazing experience, and we made a lot of friends and saw a lot of amazing things and went through a lot of amazing experiences. But as happens with a large group of people, much less a large group of women who are all on the spiritual path, um, the dynamics are interesting.
It's very interesting.
They're very interesting, especially having to like share rooms and do the whole, like if you've ever gone on a spiritual retreat and had to bunk with people, that I mean, everybody's got their own way, and it's interesting.
Yeah.
But that's what we're referencing. But it did indeed, while we
Exactly.
were there in Hawaii, just absolute dump rain that one time. Speaking of energetic
Yeah.
weather, that memory came to mind, was like we were all soaked.
Yeah.
Like it was cold, but it was warm. It was warm outside, but the rain was cold. So it was very cleansing, and
And
it was very
windy.
revealing. And there was like, it was like almost, it's like melting away all your layers and masks and stuff. And so it's like, if
Mhm.
you let them be melted, it was a wonderful tool in that very, like you said, magical place with all of those petroglyphs, where a lot of you connected to having lived there in past lives before, like your soul recognized. It's like, oh, cool, I've been here. And I've
Yeah.
definitely had those moments too. I mean, that place wasn't one of those for me,
Right.
but I understand the feeling because I've had other places like that.
Yeah.
So then it was interesting, yeah, to see how it just came in, that energy where all of us, because there was a bunch of people trying to do energy work, trying to do all kinds of things, trying to tap into timelines, trying to, like there was a lot of people messing with the grid.
Yeah.
A lot of
So-
strong, energetically strong people
Yeah.
messing with the grid. So it makes you wonder,
That whole trip was very interesting.
right? But yeah, speaking of energetic weather, it's
The
like,
weather of it.
I mean, yeah, we could spend a whole nother probably episode talking about just that one instance and what we feel the point of that rain was.
Mm-hmm.
Because it didn't hit anywhere else on the island. Like,
No. Nope, just there. I didn't know
it was,
it was a rainier part of Hawaii,
right,
but just that moment of like it wasn't rain. It rained when we were out, like
right. And then
out.
it stopped.
And then it stopped as soon as we got back to the cars. Coincidence?
Questionable. For us, definitely questionable whether it's a coincidence or not.
But yeah. That's
Yeah. So energetic weather does definitely happen. It happens to us. So if it's happening to you, don't feel like you're the odd man out. I would take that as a very good sign, in the sense that you are more energetically connected to the world around you naturally than you may think, and probably than the other people around you. And this is not to like give anybody an elitist moment, but much like people come into this world with certain gifts or, like natural abilities already built into the programming, to the software, shall we say. Some people are naturally good at science and math or dance or music or writing or whatever. Same with all of your intuitive abilities.
yeah. Oh yeah.
Being empathic, being clairvoyant, being psychic, having ability to, like how easily can you access vibrational frequency planes of information like the Akashic records that we talked about. Everybody comes in with different levels of all of that turned on. Each one of those is like a different fader switch. And each one of us comes with different settings already turned on.
Yeah.
So everybody's got the ability to do this. Everybody's got the ability to feel it. Everybody's got the ability to tap into the weather and enjoy it and get into the energetics of anything they want to. But some people are born with more of it turned on than some. So if you find that you're one of those people, you are not alone. Definitely not alone.
Nope.
There are weather anomalies that Gaia herself does. There are weather anomalies that human beings try to put their scaly hands in. Their scaly clawed hands in. What? So, right, so there's all kinds of things going on. But if you are one of those people that does feel called to go outside when it rains, then you have already a special built-in connection to nature and the weather. And I would explore that more if I were you. If it were me, because it was. So I did. And Dallas too, right? So if that is you, I wouldn't be afraid of it. I would be curious about it and explore it and reach out to people that have had similar experiences. That's kind of like what we're doing here, is sharing our experiences so people know that they're not by themselves. So you can always feel free to reach out to us, hit us up in the comments, send us a message. If you feel like you're going through any of these things that we talk about and you like a little bit of a helping hand on trying to figure out WTH, am I supposed to do it? So yeah, that is the joyride of what? Energetic weather. Wanting to be outside in the weather. The energetic connection between us and the weather. Because yeah, our body is our body is of this earth, so it makes sense that it wants to
Absorb.
partake of certain things to absorb into the system, much like food or certain kinds of water or minerals or
Connected.
So that's what that's what I'm gonna put my money on, that it might be that connection right there.
Like it.
Yep. So thoughts in our closing moments here?
Nope, just like you said, just embrace it.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's something you want to get more involved in, just go outside and go be with nature. If it's a rainy day, prepare yourself, go outside, be safe. Don't be stupid.
Right. Don't stand next to any metal poles and hold it while there's a lightning storm. Please don't.
Right. Or go kayaking in the middle of a lightning storm.
Please don't. Don't.
Be
we
safe
take no
about
personal responsibility for what you do with our information. Just right.
Because nature itself is a beast. She is her own entity. You can't control her, but embrace it, and you can work with her, and you can work with that energy. So
and explore it.
Explore it. There's no wrong way of doing anything. Just go out and get wet.
Perfect. I love it. We'll end with that. Go out and get wet, everybody. So the joyride through energetic weather. Just get out there and get wet. 30 minutes of exploring and joyriding, or go out and get wet. So from myself, Daniella, and the lovely as always Dallas, here at Galactic Explorers, like, subscribe, follow us, and go out and get wet.
Get wet.
Go get wet.